Hello and welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. This is my after-match reaction from Dundalk 1, Qarabag 1 in the Champions League second round, first leg. Just to start off with, Vinnie Perth went with Gary Rogers, Dane Massey, Andy Boyle, Sean Hoare, Sean Gannon. In midfield then he went with Michael Duffy. He went with a three then kind of in the middle with Shields, McElhenney, Benson, and then he had outright Jamie McGrath and Pat Hoban up front. If you were to watch Dundalk, throughout the season, whatever, the only kind of person that's in a little bit of a weird position from that point of view is Jamie McGrath. The rest all kind of makes sense. Andy Boyle did very well against Riga, so he kind of justified his spot. He's well used to playing in Europe. So I was surprised to see Brian Garton left out of the 18 though, but someone said on Twitter that was just a technical issue. So he was obviously left out, but they didn't obviously start the game very well, going down 1-0 in the first 4 minutes. I suppose less said about the goal, the better from a Dundalk point of view. But yeah, I mean, it was a very shaky start, and as the time kind of went on, then the more Qarabag had the ball, the more Dundalk looked very nervous, very shaky at the back, and they're not normally put under that much pressure, to be fair. So you could tell that they weren't used to it. The crowd were a little bit nervous as well. They came out roaring at the start, and then obviously when the goal went in, it just went a little bit quiet. So they were obviously a bit nervous, and that kind of fed onto the players. And a little bit going forward from a Dundalk point of view, everything they were trying to get passes or get something going, for some reason it just wasn't sticking, and it was constantly coming back. To be fair, the Qarabag team really pressed very high very early on, and ultimately the first half Dundalk didn't really look like Dundalk at all, and Qarabag really were a very hard working side, to be fair to them. And I think it kind of showed. Like, I don't think Sean Gannon's had as tough a test in a long time, and neither has Dane Massey, and that was in the first half. I thought as well as that though, that winger Romero should have been booked for a couple of fouls on Dane. But yeah, that Romero lad and Zubair, the two of them looked a real threat when they were going forward on the ball, especially in the first half. So Dundalk go in, 1-0 at the break, half time, and it was a bit of a blow actually that Robbie Benson went off injured. He looked like he cracked a rib or something. But he went off and Sean Murray came on, and Sean Murray done quite well, I thought, when he came on, but he wasn't really getting into it in the first half. It was a hard time to come on in the game, to be fair. And then to Dundalk's credit, whatever the manager said at half time, they must have reorganised, got their shape back, because they were looking a little bit out of sorts before the second half started up. So yeah, I mean, you're thinking, okay, if they can hang on here, Qarabag are obviously have to get in their early goal, so you want to see them get back into it. Then, especially in the first half, like Zubair was terrorising the Dundalk team. And you don't normally see players running at Dundalk as much, because they're normally so dominant. You don't really even see their fullbacks on the back foot that often. And that ultimately changed then in the second half. They were starting to get forward. They were starting to get a lot more joy. It seemed as though Qarabag's, pressing and all kind of, they took the foot off the gas, or else they were just knackered from all the chasing around that they did in the first 45 minutes, because there was players doubling up on Michael Duffy and then Patrick McElhenney as well. So, because they clearly know that they're the two creative players. And obviously Benson adds to that as well, but he'd gone off, and then Sean Murray is good at his passing and that. So he was starting to get into it then, and kind of the more the game went on, the more he grew into it. And I haven't really seen him that much this season, so it was actually nice to see him get a run and what he was kind of made of. So I thought he done very well. Dane Massey and Sean Gannon in the second half were brilliant. Even at one point, at the 83rd or 84th minute, Dane Massey was bombing on, driving the team on as well, but we'll kind of get to that in a couple of minutes. But yeah, I mean, Dundalk started to get chances. I think at the hour mark, Dundalk had 5 attempts and Qarabag had 12. Now that's a lot for an away side to have, and none of those were on target. Now this is before Dundalk started getting a lot of chances and a lot of joy. The more the game went on, and that seems to be a real thing with Dundalk, to their credit, is they seem to be very, very fit, and they win a lot of their games in the last few minutes of games and stuff like that. They really push on and break down teams. Yeah, and Michael Duffy at one point whipped in a corner, and it was kind of overhit, whipped back in then by Andy Boyle, and I think it's Sean Hoare. He kind of volleyed it wide, but that was the start of kind of shots coming in from a Dundalk point of view. Pat Hoban worked his socks up front. He was chasing shadows a lot because he was quite isolated, I thought. Done very well to just keep going and not get frustrated. You see a lot of strikers who are up there on their own, they're not getting a lot of service, and they do tend to get booked a lot of the time or do silly things if they're not in the game, just to try and get something going for their team. But to his credit, he stuck it out. Around the 60th minute, or 65th minute or so, the game started to kind of quieten down, and then John Mountney came on for Patrick McElhenney, which I thought was actually a bit of a shock at the time, but actually turned out to be a really good sub for Dundalk. He really got them going. The only other chance I can think of now is Romero's shot, and Gary Rogers then saved it, kind of parried it away, and then Almeida blazed it over. But actually, I forgot to mention that Gary Rogers made a superb save. I think Zubir played the ball in behind. I think it was Romero got in, and Gary Rogers was straight out on top of him and made an absolutely brilliant save. That could be crucial as a goal, that save, because the ball in by Zubir it caught the whole Dundalk team off guard, and he was in. And 1-on-1, and Gary Rogers made a brilliant save. But again, they were critical on the commentary of the save from Romero that time, because it came straight out to Almeida, and he probably should have scored. But look, you're right. You look at these things, and you can see the level of quality that you're up against, to be fair. So then there was a bit of great play by Mountney to Duffy, and then McGrath as well, and has a shot deflected wide. And that ultimately leads to the corner then, which Sean Murray whips in. And I don't know what happened between, I think it hit off a defender or something, but it landed right in the 6-yard box, and that's where you want your striker. Pat Hoban there in the 6-yard box, nods it in with his head, and delighted from him. As I said, he stuck it out the whole game and worked really hard, and I think a lot of his work does go unnoticed by fans sometimes, because if he's not putting the ball in there, I think they expect him to be doing a lot more. But, he doesn't give defenders a lot of time. He's always chasing things down and pressing from the front foot. And I think he's really, really hard work. And he obviously came off then for Georgie Kelly. And so Dundalk were really starting to put it on Qarabag. And I was quite surprised, because I thought when, as I said, McElhenney went off and Hoban went off, that, I thought, okay, I thought they're probably their strongest players, but he's the manager, and that's ultimately why he gets paid to make these decisions. And I wouldn't say it paid off too much, but with a bit of luck on their side, they could have got 2 extra goals towards the end. Some quality play out on the right hand side as well. I think it was Mountney to Gannon, and he played him in again. He got in, cut back, Jamie McGrath there at the edge of the box, and it falls to him. Defender was doing a lot to kind of put him off as well, though, so he got on target at least. Keeper made a good save, but then in the dying minutes, then I think it was a long free kick from Sean Murray, and whatever. It's just one of those where you're thinking, oh, here we go, and it was a lucky flick on, and Dave Massey's in, and he was leaning back, unfortunately, and blazed it over the bar. You could see he was hurting after the game in regards to missing the chance. He was shaking his head a lot, and they made a lot of references to Pat Fennan, and I think it was Colin Murphy on commentary saying that, that he was shaking his head in anger. But I think Michael Duffy as well, there was the very last probably chance of the game, he got in, and to be fair, he'd done a lot of the work himself to get into that position, and he was by and large right to have a strike. But I seen Mountney was running in, and I think if he had seen him, maybe he would have been better putting him in, and Dundalk could be going away, winning 2-1. But then look, Dundalk showed tremendous character to get back into the game, and Vinnie Perth deserves a lot of credit as well for what he set the team back up in the second half, or half time, for the second half. And I got to give a lot of credit to them. They showed a lot of heart and desire to get back into it. They really looked like the Dundalk side that we're used to seeing in the second half, especially after that kind of 70th minute mark, because the game was flat around the 60th minute mark, and it wasn't, you know, Qarabag really were kind of dying off. They weren't getting a lot of the ball. They weren't doing anything really, in my opinion anyway. But look, the tie is very much alive. Pat Hoban gets the European goal, delighted for him. A lot of people saying he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that, he doesn't score in big games. Well, you know, this goal he scored tonight could be crucial to take away the Qarabag. Dundalk will be hoping that, again, they don't concede early. But look, if they score early, happy days. But they need to it's easy for me to sit here and say it, but if they can go at them like they did in the second half, and keep it quiet maybe in the first half again. Well, if they can keep them quiet in the first half this time, around the away leg, and come at them in the second half the way they did, I think that would be testament to them and their character. And look, as I say, the time is very much alive now. I don't know what Azerbaijan is like, or Baku. I don't know what it's like for going there, how intimidating or anything it is. But I'm hoping that that game tonight would have been intimidating for them in the second half, because the fans really got behind the team, and credit to them as well. So that's been my after-match reaction. The tie is still very much alive, and Dundalk's fitness ultimately prevails. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please don't forget to subscribe. We're, I think, 50 subscribers from 6k now. So if you don't mind hitting that L subscribe button, that would be fantastic. If you like the video, drop a like. If you agree or disagree with my take on tonight's game, let us know in the comments. And speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.